Good morning, everyone. This is Christian Duque, MD Noble Weekly Episode 16, brought to you courtesy of IronMaglabs.com, your go-to source for all your bodybuilding and fitness supplements. Today's Wednesday, October the 4th. First and foremost, I'd like to send my deepest condolences out to everyone in Vegas, all of the victims, families, friends, and the community. Today we have a very packed show, so let's get started. First and foremost, this weekend is the Kuwait Classic, Hadi Chupan. Everybody's looking at this guy in the 212. Everybody's expecting him to win. But I got news for you. The Boston Mass, Jose Raymond, will be there. And this guy is not going down without a fight. So make sure to check that out. Also, big kudos to Badr Budai because he has gotten the unimaginable. He has gotten Louis Marco to come out of the woodwork and go to his show. So that's a first, and that's going to be awesome. Next, I want to talk about bookcameo.com. This is an interesting concept. It's kind of like the partygram concept where, I don't know if you guys did it in high school or not, but for like a quarter or something, get a candy cane and like write a little message and they would take it to the different classes. It's kind of like that, only here it's not a quarter, it's $10, $25, $50, but a celebrity will, say something to your friend, hey, Billy, kick butt in that show, you're going to do great, you're going to look great, and I'm not just saying extra paying. Yeah, of course they don't say that, but you put the person's name and you put the message you want the celebrity to read, and for $10 you can have Lane Norton do it, for $10 you can have Flex Wheeler do it, or for a very modest $25 you could have Kali Muscle do it. It's an interesting concept. Next, I want to talk about Mark Lobliner sort of setting his sights a little bit on the Super League. Now, he respects the people that are behind it, of course, six-time Mr. Olympia Dorian Yates, Rich Piana, who passed, may rest in peace, Mike O'Hearn, a lot of great people. So Mark's not attacking the people. He just thinks the events are kind of cheesy, kind of whack, not really all that exciting. And it's interesting because, Super League, again, a lot of people don't know how to take it. Is it a rival to bodybuilding? A lot of people say no, and it doesn't look like it is, but, and he also attacked a little bit, City Athletic Club or whatever the gym is called. And, he said it looked like a strip club and not really a gym, and, just a couple little, little digs there, interesting stuff. Now, I want to talk about the EBLS Prague Pro. Now, the EBLS Prague Pro, great competition. It was won by the Dutch beast, Roelly Winklaar, who placed 6th at the Mr. Olympia. Looked very, very good. And I think it's great because now he's qualified for the 2018 Mr. Olympia. The big question now, I wrote an article, Roelly's big win in Prague for IronMagazine.com. The big question is, what is Roelly going to do? Because to me, honestly, the smart money is take the rest of 2017, all of October, November, December, and all that you have in 2018 from January to September, and just focus on the Mr. Olympia. But who knows if he's going to do that? He might decide to do smaller shows to make some money. He might decide to do the Arnold Classic, which a lot of people are doing. Excuse me. The Arnold Classic is looking to be a huge, huge show because you got Big Ronnie's going to do it. Dennis the Big Bad Wolf is doing his comeback there. Kai Green released a sort of ominous social media release where he says, The Predator Awakens, IFBB 2018. What could that mean? Now, we all should know that Kai Green's got a beef with Weider AMI, so it's unlikely, unless something's changed that we don't know about, it's unlikely he'll do the Mr. Olympia. But if he doesn't do the Olympia, what does that leave him? The Arnold. I mean, unless he's going to do a smaller show, but doesn't seem like after such an absence he would come back and just do a smaller show where he could be accused of basically competing against bodybuilders of a lesser quality than him. Almost looks like kind of like a bullying thing. Kai's not a bully. Excuse me. Next, but I can't leave this topic just yet. Now, Roelly also defeated a rather off William Bonac and a rather off Dexter Jackson. And that is not a good way for these guys to end the year. Dexter got 4th, Bonac got 3rd. Some people think that he could have gotten 2nd. Some people think he could have won. And I know that the European tours are not as important as the Mr. Olympia, but you know what? Excuse me. To the fans that bought tickets in Prague, to the fans from all over Europe that went to that competition, to the fans all around the world that saw that competition, It was important, very important. And I just don't like the idea of the top 5 going to other shows and looking the way that they did here. Now, on the other hand, I also don't like automatic qualifications where the top 5, except for the Mr. Olympia, are never seen competing on a stage, because that does a disservice to the sport too. Excuse me. So it's kind of, things need to change, I guess is what I'm saying. Next, I want to talk about, I want to talk about Louis Marco very briefly, and I'm not sponsored by Monster, so forgive me. Next, I want to talk about Louis Marco setting his sights on Dave Palumbo. Now, Dave Palumbo insists that he's not trying to pawn off his product. Far be it from him to do such a thing. But, you know, Dave believes that the remedy, the cure for bubble guts, for distended guts, for distended abdominal regions, it's not the product of growth. It's not the product of slim abuse. He believes that his Fibrilize supplement will end this bubble gut fiasco across the boards. Because if you take Fibrilize and you are regular, the guts are gone. So it's not because of growth or insulin or hernias. Fibrilize is going to solve the bubble gut phenomenon. But he's not trying to pawn off his own products. I mean, far be it from him, because that's, you know, that would be dishonest to tell somebody, hey, you know, you have a bubble gut because you've been abusing, you know, human growth hormone or IGF-1 or, you know, insulin or whatever. Really what it is you got to take a dump. And with Fibrilize, by golly, we'll get you to that toilet, sir. But, you know, anyways, I don't know. Maybe he knows something we don't know. Now, also, I hate to transition, because anything I transition from after this topic, you know, the whole bathroom toilet topic, is kind of like, you know. But well, actually, I'm not. Well, let me talk about something else. I'm in South Florida. Yesterday, it rained torrentially. And this is the Sunshine State. It should not rain in the Sunshine State. Am I right? All right. Next, I'm going to talk about PJ Braun. I interviewed PJ Braun last week at Busybody East Boca. It was a great interview, 30 minutes long. It's available at strengthaddicts.com. Great interview. Plugged my own site there, but other folks plug t-shirts, so I think it's okay. But, and some people plug, you know, all sorts of stuff, so that's cool. And it was great. We got to talk about all sorts of stuff. We got to talk about Jason Genova. You know, unfortunately, I don't think Jason will be coming back to Blackstone. But you can tell that PJ really cares about him. You can tell that PJ really loves the guy. But I had no idea how much havoc Jason's antics actually affected Blackstone Labs. I mean, you know, it hurt them in sales. It hurt them with distributors. It hurt them with their own staff. I mean, PJ literally, by keeping Jason, was disenfranchising his own staff and his own sponsored athletes. And it's just a really tough situation. We got to talk about his personal life. You know, he finalized his divorce on the day we did the interview. We talked about social media and, you know, if he's going to be drawing some lines in terms of how much the customers and the fans get to know about his personal life. We also talked about sponsored athletes. Does Blackstone Labs look for trophies or do they look for followers? And it's a really, really good interview. And it's a no bullshit interview, a no bull type interview. So check that out. Next, I want to talk about some forum questions. Now, AJ has been banned yet again, but one of the last posts that he made before being banned is he said to me on my thread, he said he would like to see longer videos from me. So we're up to, looks like 9 minutes. So it's a longer video. I hope that you come back. I like your stuff. I mean, I've heard over the years you've crossed the line many times, but you know, I like when the forums are lively. And when there's a lot of debate and argument, because a lot of people see that as negative, they're like, oh no, it's not good, we should all get along and be friends. That shit's boring. That's boring. To have everybody agree and everybody be civil and polite, that's boring. I mean, there's certain lines you don't cross. You don't attack spouses, you don't attack families, you don't attack that kind of thing. You don't, you know, insult people with things that are inappropriate. But in terms of just arguing, and it's like, you know, and all these like little titles, you know, forum leader, super mod, give me a break. we're all the same. I mean, so it's like, I get that moderators are important, but like, unless it's like something that's wholly inappropriate, unless it's like something that just shocks the conscience, they just need to shut the fuck up and just be like everybody else, because that is when we're gonna have a good forum. You start giving out these titles and these powers and arbitrary rules that are arbitrarily enforced, and you start to have censorship. When you have censorship in a message board is death. Not for the people, but for the message board. All right. So Michael Edwards had asked me about Louis Marco. It was sort of a statement. He had said that he believes that the reason that Louis has always been tough on Dennis the Big Bad Wolf is because Dennis Wolf is the only one that hasn't kissed Louis's ass. And that's quite possible. You know, Louis has blocked me. He's blocked me on Instagram, just like Phil Heath. And I think there's a lot of overlap between, you know, Phil and Louis, in that they don't like to take criticism and they don't like people that disagree. In their world, everybody agrees with them. And if they don't, then they remove them from their world by blocking them. So yeah, and Dennis Wolf, come on, Arnold Classic champion, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 bodybuilders in the world, arguably a future Mr. Olympia. He's not going to eat out of Louis Marco's hand. He's not going to like bow down, you know, hat in hand. Oh, Mr. Marco. Like even Phil Heath last year made a video that was basically it was the video that he made this year attacking Louis was almost as bad as the video he made last year praising Louis and saying, Louis, do you like me now? Do you like the physique I brought now? Is it good? I mean, you know, are you gonna like support me now? They were equally troubling. And again, I got to go back to what Greg Valentino said. It's crazy that the first thing that Phil Heath thought about after winning his 7th Mr. Olympia was Louis Marco. It's just like, now let's get into Howard's question, and it fits in perfectly. Howard says, now Howard's question is interesting because it's the social media warrior versus the contest pro. And he wants to know, he says, it boggles his mind that someone who never won anything can generate more interest by the fans than an actual pro. But think about this, okay? I mean, think about where the industry has been going in the last 5, 6, 7, even 10 years. I mean, where, you know, you have undeniable social media superstars that the people can relate to. And I think that is really what we're talking about. It's not like, you know, when Dana Lynn Bailey exploded on the scene, it wasn't because, you know, she cut up her shirt in a million different cuts. It's not because her hairstyle was so cool. It wasn't even because of the way she talked. It was because of the fact that she was real. Like the person you saw in the video was the person you saw at the expo. She was real and people related to her. People related to Rich Piana on a level that is just not going to happen again. I mean, you look at Kali, you look at Mark Lobliner, you look at, you know, Furious Pete. I mean, they're all very, very talented, but not like Rich Piana. I would say Rich Piana is probably the most, or was the most successful social media personality in the history of the fitness industry, bar none, and will always be. In terms of the women, Dana Lynn Bailey, I would say, is probably the top of the heap. I don't know of anyone. I mean, Jamie Eason at some point was pretty popular. Marsha Prince was popular. But there's just, I would say Rich Piana and Dana Lynn Bailey are probably the 2 greatest success stories in social media superstardom. And it's because people can relate to them. You know, look at Greg Valentino. I'm going to tell you something. Now Greg is not really the person that I would use ideally, because the question is, you know, between someone that's never won anything and an actual pro, because Greg may not have won the Mr. Olympia, but Greg was a bodybuilder with a fantastic physique, natural physique. He was a contest prep. Well, he wasn't a prep coach, but he was a promoter, and I'm sure he's prepped people before, because any good bodybuilder can prep someone else to do a show. You know, he was a columnist on Muscular Development. I mean, this is a guy that was like in the business. But no, he wasn't Mr. Olympia. He didn't win Arnold Classic, and he was an IFBB pro. But I tell you what, if you put a booth, a table, at the Arnold Classic or the Mr. Olympia, and you put them at polar opposites, and Greg Valentino's on one table and Phil Heath's on the other, in 2017, I guarantee you Greg Valentino's line is 2, 3, or 4 times longer than Phil Heath's. You know why? Because people relate to Greg, because Greg is honest. There's no lying in Greg. There's no bullshit in Greg. There's no political correctness in Greg. There's no deceit in Greg. I mean, with Phil Heath, you know, I'm not saying that he's deceitful or dishonest, but people, he could be telling 100% truth, looking straight in the eye, not blinking, not stuttering. People just won't believe him. I don't know why. Has he given us a reason not to believe him? No. I mean, he's been a loudmouth before, outspoken, narcissistic, yes. But has he given us a reason to think he's dishonest? No. But it's just how someone comes across. This is the whole beast of social media. And in social media land, social media world, Greg Valentino will always be much, much more popular than Phil Heath. Kai Green, who hasn't done the Mr. Olympia in 3 different competitions recently, will always be 2, 3, 4 times more popular than Phil Heath. It just is what it is. Okay, so questions from Don Flex. How long have I been a vegetarian? 25 years. Do I feel that it's impacted strength and or muscle gain? No, actually, I'm pretty strong, but muscle gain, I make poor decisions. And, some people are fat because, genetically or their thyroid's off or whatever. But some people are fat just because they make stupid decisions, like in terms of what foods they eat, when they eat them, how much they eat of them. And so I'm an eater, and I eat a lot at night sometimes, but I'm dieting. And I know how to get down to like the weight I want to get, but I want to do it like the smart way this time. And I'm on that path. Now he says, which social media star would I collaborate with? Well, Greg Valentino for sure. And Greg Valentino for sure. It's possible that may happen one day. I don't know. Rick Drazen sort of happened. I was his first Skype interview. That was a lot of fun. And definitely my boss, Ron Harris. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so in terms of happenings this week, don't miss this Saturday, the Olympic Tan NPC Natural Pennsylvania Championships. They're right outside of downtown Pittsburgh. For more information, log on to GaryUdit.com. You guys know that my mentors in the fitness industry are Gary Udit and Dave Lieberman. So I would be remiss, to use Bob Chicarillo's coined phrase, I would be remiss if I did not plug my good friend Gary Udit's show this upcoming Saturday. And also Mike O'Hearn and the very, very beautiful Mona Mirasan, 2 of my good friends, will be at the 10th Annual Crystal Cup in Anchorage, Alaska, October 7th. So be on the lookout for that if you're in the Alaska area, which, unless you live in Alaska, you're not going to be in the area because it's like detached from the continental United States. Nonetheless, if you're in Alaska, definitely check that out. And of course, my friends, please stay tuned to the next MD Noble Weekly.